Good afternoon, good evening. I am Dr. Eric Shiraev. I will teach psychology. Thank you, TutorDudes, for helping us to record this session. Previously, we've studied sensation perception. We studied consciousness. We focused on sleep. Now it is time to study emotion. I will explain what emotions are. I describe different types of emotions, explain how they work, discuss normal and not normal emotions, abnormal emotions, and some important applications. As always, I will share the screen with you and will comment on the pictures you will see. Don't forget, every lecture is accompanied by a brief selection of questions that you can answer so that you can refresh your memory and apply your knowledge in several ways. But let me describe, first of all, what emotions are, and we'll give you many examples today. Well, this is not just a single event in our lives. Emotions are processes. It's a response which may last for a few seconds, but may also last longer. But typically, every emotion includes a combination of three events. It's physiological arousal. Something happens within us, and it's a response of a body. It's a nervous system and a body. So physiological arousal or activation. Then comes behavioral expression. Of course, I'll tell you, and you know, we can hide our emotions, but as adults will learn how to hide them, how to express them. But most of our emotions are expressed, they're visible. Mostly it's a facial expression, but could be a posture, gestures. It's behavioral expression. And then third element, which is very difficult to visualize because subjective experience, something within you. It could be positive. We call it positive experience. You want to have it more. You enjoy yourself. Negative, something you want to avoid, want to reject and limit. Could be ambivalent to positive and negative experiences together. So three elements, remember: physiological element, arousal, behavioral expression, and subjective experience. We feel them happening almost simultaneously, but in fact, we can separate them if we really want to examine the structure of human emotions. Well, structure of human emotions. Let me bring a little bit of neuroscience to you. Well, for instance, how emotions work. Must be a signal from outside world or from the body. But let's see. A child is approached by a strange figure in a theme park, a scary pirate, or a pirate right there. So in our brain, it's a part of a brain called the amygdala. It's a sort of an emotional processor. We call it informally this way. The amygdala will assess the affective significance of stimulus, emotional significance. So big, small, frightening, not frightening, moving fast, moving slow. That's assessment of it. And emotions serve a very important function of assessing and give us signals about what's going on around us. So, well, the child is, just observing this as a big and tall figure. It's I call it pirate. Then on the level of a hypothalamus in midbrain, the responses are activated. What kind of responses? Well, in a life of animals and human beings, when we deal with outside issues or with anything, is we either approach them or we move away. We either fight if necessary, or flight. Just we escape. We investigate, or we try to stay away from it. Well, so the system must be activated, and then finally, the child realizes that this is a costumed character, and parents are laughing, and the child is laughing too, because on the level of cerebral cortex, we are capable of analyzing information, comparing with previous experiences, looking at responses of others. Very much, it could be that the child is approached by this scary costume character in the theme park and runs away and starts screaming and hiding behind parents because it's scary. But That could be, but because of previous experience of a child, because of response of the parents, or because of overall situation, the child may laugh. So, but three elements to it: so appraisal, so reaction, and then finally just cognitive appraisal, assessment of a situation. Six basic emotions we describe in psychology. There are some cultural differences in the way languages label emotions. But cross-cultural psychology suggests that overall, with some changes, of course, that definitely can find differences in the way cultures label emotions. But six are basic emotions, and you can name them just by looking at those pictures. I deliberately selected images that are black and white colored, the sketches, photographs. People represent different ethnic groups right there, but most of us, without any difficulty, recognize those emotions. Of course, I'll show it to you. These six basic emotions, and it'll take you 10 seconds to name all of them in correctly. It's anger, right? Joy, fear, surprise, disgust, and sadness. They are distinct, right? We, growing up in different cultures, or in well, in the United States, for instance, moving from place to place, we look at people's faces, we learn how to recognize those emotions. And as I told you, it's people who are educated, and we'll talk about high school level, especially people who traveled or exposed to other cultures. In 90% of cases, if emotion is expressed in a very, very distinct way, we judge correctly. The most difficulties, I'll tell you, the most difficulties we experience distinguish between fear and surprise. Fear and surprise, you see the opposite sides of a slide. Makes sense, because fear and surprise are both associated with widened eyes and with a typical expression. However, surprise is emotion which is about approaching something unusual but pleasant. Fear is avoiding something sudden, unpleasant. So that's the difference. Surprise is emotion to approach, to move in, to explore. Fear is to separate yourself from object of fear. But in reality, emotions, of course, are not that pure, and not that so many of them are easy to recognize. Most of our emotions are mixed. Look at this picture. It's Olympic Games, I guess, and look at the young ladies and coaches that they pay attention to something is going on, maybe in the floor, in the beam, something that's their fellow gymnast is performing right there. And you see clearly the combination of surprise and anger, and maybe joy, maybe, well, what else could be there? So many different emotions. And one of the coaches actually is emotionless, the ability to control emotions and express them in a particular way comes with age and with experience and with the roles we play. Well, our emotions, of course, they are signals to other people. Psychologists believe that it makes sense. That's what anthropologists also share with us, that's in the process of evolution. We need to communicate, and we need to help others, and other people help us to deal better with our surroundings. So if something is scary, and think about our ancestors living many thousands years ago, something is scary, approaching tiger, approaching hunters. Well, the emotion which associated with fear, scream, will send a signal to fellow hunters that so you will somehow stay away, run away, or be aware there's a tiger approaching. Laughter is a reflection of joy, something positive, and laughter usually causes interest in us. What's going on? We want to share this experience and also feel joy. Emotions regulate our behavior. In which way? They activate us to lift or deactivate. In which way they lift our behavior. But surprise, for instance, if we are surprised, surprise is emotion which accompanied with investigation. What's going on? What is that? Let me see. Or let me do it. Oh, I'll do it later. Or that's interesting. What's going on there? Surprise is a very powerful mechanism that directs our behavior. Sadness is disengagement. When we're sad, and you have been sad in the past, and so did I, Do you want to do things? Yes, you need to do some things, of course, and move on in life, but sadness disengages us from many immediate concerns. It's important function to sit and reflect on something. You lost your iPhone, or you're upset, you're sad, right, about this. Yes, it's a value, of course, but well, you may be angry also with yourself, and anger and sadness at the same time will give you a good lesson in the future. You'll be more careful about keeping your belongings and be paying attention to where you put your phone. And so activation or deactivation of our behavior, emotions serve a very important function. Emotions can quickly pass, just come and go, like a surprise for a few seconds. You laughed, you surprised, and then you continue. Can last longer. Thinking about people who stay angry for minutes and days, sometimes about something. It becomes stronger, and anger brings anger in them, and then weaker, strong, but well, may be predominant for several days. We'll learn about sadness. It can be quick and passing. If you're a sports fan, your team lost the game, and you sad for how long? Hopefully for 5 minutes, and then you care about other things. But sometimes sadness can be much longer, and so last for hours and days and even weeks. We know this. Emotions can become abnormal. What does it mean, abnormal? It's human. How can it be abnormal? This is the supposed part of our life, and yet it can be abnormal. We will look at abnormalities in human behavior and human experience later on when we study mental illness. It will be coming in the future. But I'll tell you right now, giving a couple of simple examples here. Emotions can be abnormal. For instance, when sadness is exaggerated and extreme and last for weeks and weeks and weeks and seriously affects person's life, we call it depression. I will give you more specific symptoms of depression. We call clinical depression or depressive disorder. But it's okay to be sad. We know, okay to be sad. It's normal. It's part of our life, and sadness regulates our life, as I told you, in so many ways. Sadness is a source of romantic poetry. Often, so many beautiful songs written because the authors were sad and expressed their sadness in the lyrics and their music as well. But if sadness lasts for months and person is not getting back to her normal, usual life, if she feels extremely unhappy for weeks and weeks and weeks, well, this is definitely not normal. We judge it by cultural standards and by our societal norms of what is normal and what is abnormal. Fear, for instance, I'll tell you, fear is a very useful emotion. Without fear, we would have made so many bad decisions in life, especially, fear allows us to be more self-protective. We avoid making hectic decisions quite often, and rightly so. Specific and exaggerated fear called phobia. If a child cannot go to bed and checks for an hour where the spiders right there in the bed, and concerned about spiders and cries about spiders, refuses to go to bed because of fear of spiders in bed, that's definitely a phobia. Or when fear is not specified, we call it anxiety. So it's state of apprehensive anticipation of something, so nervousness. Well, it's a maybe normal process. It's fine to be nervous before the exam, for instance. It's fine to be nervous before some event. But when you ask a person what they're afraid of, and say, I don't know, I want to know. People say, I don't know what it is, but I'm nervous. Well, anxiety. When it's exaggerated, we deal with anxiety disorders, which we will study later on with you, and a specific lecture on anxiety disorders, because they're a very important part of life and very disturbing part of many lives. When we study emotions, it's important to understand two relatively simple but quite remarkable types of rules. Feeling rules. What are feeling rules? Feeling rules are the rules, customs, expectations that we use feel in particular situations. But it maybe sounds redundant, but it is. It is. A child doesn't know how to feel in a situation when, say, his sister came with good news, saying that I was admitted to college, and she's so happy. A 4-year-old doesn't know what college is, but everybody is happy, and this 4-year-old also is very happy with everybody else. Or some sad news in the family, and everybody is somber, and everybody is sad, and the child is laughing loud, but mother says, no, 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 please, no, no, please, we understand this is something which we need to well, slow down a little bit, and we receive some sad news, and child learns about sad news. So feeling rules, we learn how to feel in a particular situations due to cultural rules, family rules, due to circumstances, political, social, religious, others, feeling rules, the rules we use to feel, to feel. Display rules, it's the way we express our emotions, the way we express our emotions, and the way we control our emotions as well. The child may dislike food she's offered at a party, and 3-year-old may say, no, I don't like the food, and but the mother would say, look, when you're offered food, please you say thank you, I will eat later. That's how you display your emotions. The child may not like the soup, but, well, thank you so much, it was nice. Most of us do this in our daily encounters. Somebody will ask you, did you like my dish? You didn't like the dish, but we say, oh, thank you, it was nice. So display rules, we display emotions. People ask us often, how are you feeling today? And we say, I'm okay. Maybe you're hurting, maybe you're sad, maybe you're angry with something, but you say, I'm okay. So display rules, the way you display your emotions. This is something we learn in the process of our socialization or development. And we learn not only as children, most of our display rules, feeling rules we learn as children, but in the process of our life. We learn about how to feel and how to display our rules. There's certain standards whether people look in other eyes, in our eyes when they smile, not smile when they, and how do you understand emotions when they smile, not smile. The rules exist, and we learn about them in different cultures have different rules. Well, we understand emotions relatively easy. As I told you, the most of joy, it's cross-nationally, cross-culturally expressed in a certain way. You may be young, maybe mature, black and white, mixed color, be religious or not, with or without teeth, but emotional joy is expressed in an almost universal way. Surprise, again, widen eyes, and posture, which indicates you're leaning toward object of surprise. See, once again, I put deliberately different faces right there, different ages of individuals, and almost identical expression of emotion, which indicates that we are human beings, share lots of things in common. Cultures make us slightly different, but deep inside, we are controlled, we are regulated by identical psychological mechanisms in so many ways. Anger, well, absolutely, as you find, it's this, children, pictures, actors, actresses, emojis, well, we can draw them and understand them universally because of a similarity in expression. Fear, same thing. Again, I describe all this basic emotions that we experience. I told you that fear and surprise are most difficult to distinguish between. We distinguish, but we make more mistakes, fear and surprise, because of the sort of a proximity of emotional expressions of these two emotions. Sadness is again displayed almost universally, and it's about slowing down. It's about facial expression. So this is something which most of us can understand, and we do understand and do express in the same way. Disgust is a emotion which anthropologists suggested developed in response to foods and odors. So ancestors had to signal to others about something too sour or too rotten in the food. And that was important part. So the disgust is about unpleasant foods and odors. It has very powerful biological function. But also in the process of human development, cultural development, we learn how to associate certain immoral behaviors with the expression of disgust. And you and I, we know that when we talk about some people into some really unpleasant things some of them did, we say, oh, disgusting. That was disgusting. That was really uncultured. No, it's really disgusting what she did, what he did there. So it's not necessarily about food. It's about well, immoral or inappropriate acts that individuals commit. An application for you to tell you sort of a summary, icing on the cake about the topic of emotions, but how psychologists study emotions and how they apply in particular situations. In fact, in case of psychological help, counseling people with emotional problems. Well, let me give you as a case of three complex emotions: embarrassment, shame, and guilt. Embarrassment, shame, and guilt. They are complex emotions because they are combined. They are embraced. They build on several emotions, like embarrassment, for instance, intense discomfort experienced upon having privately acceptable yet socially unacceptable act of or condition of witness revealed to others. It's formal and dry definition that seemingly it's about very simple things. There are activities in life that we normally do, but this activity is not supposed to be seen by others. Personal hygiene is example. We, I hope so, most of us take shower, and so we do it in privacy of our bathrooms, and so we lock the doors, right? If especially we live in a house, an apartment with other people, it's considered to be well appropriate. Let's leave it why we lock the doors. It's lots of different cultural explanations for that. But what if somebody wanders in and we feel uncomfortable? So you do a normal thing, you're doing normal thing. However, other people are not supposed to be present. So it's embarrassment. Embarrassment, you see, it's a combination of anger and sadness. Anger because somebody did something which he or she not supposed to do. And you are in a very vulnerable situation, say, changing your clothes, for instance, or taking a shower. And anger and sadness combined here. Embarrassment is a pleasant emotion because it doesn't allow us to find an answer. So what kind of answer? How can we address this emotion? And so usually we avoid people who embarrassed us. Usually we try to forget about things. People try to hide. Children who are embarrassed, they try to hide. Even typical reaction, cross-cultural, people cover their faces when they feel embarrassed. Why? So comforting some and also escaping. Children learn about embarrassment at age 3, 4, 5, when they learn cultural rules of right behavior and incorrect behavior. Then comes shame, when they learn about our social roles, about who we're supposed to be as boys and girls, as individuals. Shame is intense discomfort experienced upon comparing own actions witnessed by others with certain moral standards. So as a girl, a 5-year-old knows she's not supposed to lie. As a girl, she's supposed to take care of mommy and help with the little brother. As 5, 6-year-olds understand that it's you cannot steal things belonging to others. You cannot steal, may not steal those things. And yet things happen, right? It's just we act ourselves often in a way which is not appropriate. And then when we caught and when we saw, when we are seen by others, and then when we experience this emotion. A girl is not allowed to eat candy before lunch, and the mother asks her question, did you eat the candy? And daughter says, no. Mother asks you, let me ask you again, did you eat a candy? No, I didn't eat the candy, daughter says. And mother shows a candy wrap. Look, you ate it, I saw. And the girl, 5-year-old realizes, well, she lied to the mother. That's the situation. That is unpleasant. Mother is upset. Mother is really serious right now and talks about how inappropriate it is. So it's shame is a very unpleasant emotion. Shame doesn't have also very easy way out. When we are shamed by our parents, loved ones, or say online, we don't have easy answer, and one of the easiest answer is to do something negative, to respond with the bad words, to do something immediately. We call it knee-jerk reaction. Yes, we do something about that because there's nothing easy out of shame. However, later on in life, we learn about guilt. Guilt is also a social emotion, combination of sadness and anger, and well, maybe, yeah, but maybe even joy. Why joy? Because guilt is an emotion which allows you to find a way to respond through your own actions. Guilt is about this situation when you drive home, supposed to drive a car, and you see a person of heavy rain is repairing a wheel and really struggling, but you pass because rain outside and you don't want to help anybody, especially if you're close to home, you're hungry. And then 30 seconds later, you stop and make a legal U-turn and come back because you said, no, I need to help this person. I can do it. I can change the wheel in 3 minutes, having right tools. And the person that's struggling, I can do it. I can get wet. That's fine. So the emotion which you experience after you didn't help the person is called guilt. You question your time, your life, your capacities, abilities. Guilt is an emotion which allows us to think, allows us to find a way to address our sadness or anger, and adds this element of joy to us. Yes, I can do this. I can repair what I've lost, what I've wasted in 5 minutes ago, or 10 days ago, or my previous 2 years of life. So therefore, as I said, in the practice of counseling, when psychologists help people with emotional problems, they deal with so many people who talk about their embarrassment and shame in life, and how difficult it is, and feeling themselves unsuccessful, and feeling themselves losing things in life, and feeling sad about themselves. Those emotions and how it is done is not a subject of discussion today, but with the process of therapy, psychotherapists helping these individuals with problems, emotional problems, to transfer embarrassment and shame into guilt. So when you feel guilt, you have ways to repair somehow repair previous mistakes and get rid of those emotional anger, sadness, that's embarrassment and shame are known for. Well, I believe that I covered several important points about emotions. As always, I suggest to go over a few sample questions to remember today's materials. Emotions definitely can be studied in so many different ways, and the entire classes in college that taught about emotional experience of individuals. But meanwhile, that will be it for this lecture. Next time we'll study motivation. In other words, how and why we do certain things and don't do things, why we're quick, why we're so fast and not so fast, why we procrastinate in life, why we postpone certain actions until it's too late. And it's also quite many important applications that we can talk about, but will be next time when we study motivation. Well, thank you so much. It was Eric Shiraev. Thank you to TutorDudes. Till later.